All right, this is a really important production workflow thing in Photoshop, and it's starting to catch on, and hopefully you're going to use it. It's called Smart Objects. It's a great way to work. In Photoshop, when you're resizing things, if you've ever resized things a lot, up and down, you realize that eventually the image itself starts to fall apart. And there's a great solution for that, and that's Smart Objects. And it's not just Photoshop files. I want to show you how we can use Illustrator files inside there and resize them and work with them as native objects. It's really, really powerful. All right, in Photoshop, I have this background layer, and I've got another layer inside here, and let's just call this Raster. I'll duplicate it, and then this one we'll call Smart. So let's work with the Raster file first. I'll select that and just do a massive resize on here, all the way down to a little postage stamp, and then all the way back up. And you probably know what it's going to look like. It's going to look awful. That's not a problem with Photoshop. That's a problem actually with just raster images. When you make it that small, Photoshop has to throw away enormous amounts of data. And then when you bring it back, it's guessing at what's there. And we end up with this very soft focus, real awful looking file. So let me throw that away. The raster is bad. Instead, before I resize this layer, I'm going to right click and choose Convert to Smart Object. The first thing you'll notice is that the image doesn't change at all. So don't worry about this being affected and changing the image or the resolution or the size. It basically takes a Photoshop file and sticks it in a Photoshop file. So let's resize this one all the way down. Let's resize it all the way up. And look at the difference. It's perfect because it is the original file. There will be times though when you're working with this where you'll say, how come I can't edit the pixels? Here's an example. Let's grab this is our spot healing brush, and let's say I want to get rid of something here in the background. And you'll notice you get the you can't edit on this icon, this little, I call it the meh, 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 meh. It's kind of saying you can't edit on there. And it happens occasionally if you have the wrong tool with the right job. All you have to do is double click in the layer on the actual thumbnail, and it will open the original file that's embedded inside into a new window. And at this point, you can edit away, so I can just start to paint away on these areas and fix them up. The next thing is to save this. So when I just file save and close it, it updates automatically. So don't think because you've encased something inside a smart object you can't edit it. It's all there. In fact, when I have that file open, the sky's the limit. It's a layered Photoshop file. I could add as many layers or as many things in that file, save it, and they'll show up inside here. Now let's look at bringing in something from Illustrator. Again, just as easy. This time we'll jump over to Illustrator, and I've got some graphics inside here. Let's grab this one first. So I'll select that, and I'm just going to copy it to the clipboard. And when I paste, you'll notice that I have 4 choices. Smart Object is the one we're going to use. We could also paste this in as pixels, as a path, or a shape layer. I'm going to choose a Smart Object and click OK. And you'll see that we get this frame around here. It's waiting for us to commit to this. We can resize it at this point, or just hit the Enter key, or just select that up there. And this came from Illustrator. So what do you think will happen now when I double click on it? Remember, we had a Smart Object, which was a Photoshop file. Double clicking opened Photoshop. Double clicking opens Illustrator. In fact, I can close this file, and I can close this file, and we'll use that one in a second. And I could even throw those away. This is an embedded Illustrator file inside a Photoshop file. Another great way to use this, because I don't have to track 2 separate objects, a linked object that I might forget. It's all embedded. One more, let's grab this one, and this is live text. I'll copy that. And again, I'll paste it, Smart Object, OK. And the other thing we can do here, which I still think is remarkable, this is the Smart Text object. So this is a vector Illustrator object. I can go to the filter menu. I can use all of these filters on a live vector object. So let's do a Gaussian blur, click OK, and it didn't rasterize it. It's still a native layered object. I can double click on this. We can go in here and choose a different color, and let's just select that. We'll change the color to something different. Let's make it blue, and we'll change what it says to cool. Save, close, come back to Photoshop, and it's going to update. The last thing I want to show you is we get a layer mask. So this is a layer mask right here that is for the Smart Filter. If I go and grab my gradient tool and paint a gradient, I have, let's zoom in and look, I have a half vector, half soft edge, native layered Illustrator file embedded inside here as a smart object. There you go. That's all you need to know about smart objects, is that there are no limits. It's completely up to you. Now it's time for me to get smart using smart objects.